Back.
Question. I do not live in Buncombe County. I'm allowed to have voice.
Oh, yes, sir. You may speak. Go ahead.
Yes, okay.
If you give your name and where you are from.
Yeah, I'm Don Miller. I live in Old Fort. I work at Mission Hospital. I'd like to talk about the protests that are going on, the Wall Street protests across our country, and it's happening in Asheville, as I understand it. And I looked at it a little bit, and I see that the folks are being pushed around and being moved several times a day. And I was wondering if, well, I'd like to just talk in general about it first. And that is, while I can't speak for everybody, perhaps I can put a little bit of light on what's going on as I see it. And I think that there's a general dissatisfaction that is rooted in feelings of betrayal. And I don't think that it's the protesters against you, it's not the protesters against Wall Street. I think that it's a problem that we all face of being greedy. And I'm thinking myself, everybody. This past financial debacle, some of us bought houses that were too big. We were flipping houses, writing loans that shouldn't have been done. So let me ask you a question. Do you know what QE1 is and QE2? Are you familiar with those terms?
Go ahead and make your comment.
My comment is...
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I do have 5 minutes, right?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. But what's done is done, and let's move on. And what I would like to do is, I think these protesters are ultimately trying to raise consciousness. And the simple statement is that there's enough for everybody. And I would like the city and the county to embrace this protest and allow these people to have a public forum where they don't be moved around all day long. Someplace that's it's visible to help raise public awareness. And if you all have any suggestions of where this might be, or any comments, I would welcome them.
We do not have anything to do with the crowd control. It's within the city of Asheville, so it would really be a city of Asheville issue. And we don't really control that. That's a separate jurisdiction, so we really don't have any say about it.
Okay.
But thank you for your comments. And I think we could pass that along to the city manager, and we'll do so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yeah, public comment. If we could just make a note to do that. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Landis?
Wow, I started already and I didn't even start to speak. It's a good thing I'm going to ask for 8 people to raise their hands so I can have 10 minutes. You want to count my hands for my 10 minutes so we can stop the clock? It's already 2:40.
Have 8? Don't see 8, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that 8.
Folks, they're giving up their right to speak now.
Okay, give up your right to speak, that's fine. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I am Reverend Lisa Landis, and I am a walking man for the last patrol. I walked 900 miles for the patch on my hat. And I would do it again tomorrow if it means that I am going to do what is good for my children who are willing to die fighting for my rights and freedom, because I'm not willing to give up my constitutional rights as I have been forced to in this room. I'm also, people ask me, well, what kind of a pastor am I? And I'm a mystic, and I am a starseed, and I understand, and I stood before you back on January the 18th, and I told you that this was going to happen, that the people were going to stand up, and they were going to come before you, and they were going to say, we're tired of what is going on. Speaking of our Native Americans, when I was listening to the laws and the rules and the permits and da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, we took this land from the Native Americans. And here we are telling them what we're allowed to do or what they're allowed to do and what we're allowed to do. And it's like, wait a minute. Why don't we, give the land back to the Native Americans, because isn't that kind of like Hitler did, you know, come in and genocide? And a lot of it was all because of religion, you know, organized religion that is condemning to other people instead of honoring the differences that we bring, into a collective. You know, yeah, we are occupying Asheville, and in a little bit I'm going to read about a declaration of the occupation of Asheville. But a lot of it is because of the corporate greed. You know, we have the corporate greed instead of what the human needs. And then we had a little bit about the health care. And it's like, you know, why do we need health care? If we did not have the genetically modified food that caused the body to degrade, if we didn't have the disease in society, you know, if we just ate better foods, we wouldn't have near the problems that we have that are causing people to go to the hospitals in order to get the drugs from the pharmaceutical companies in order to heal themselves. When it's been proven that the pharmaceutical drugs have a whole lot of nasty side effects that continue to break down the bodies. A lot of side effects that could be healed just by having the correct food and the water, the non-polluted water in our bodies. As of today, there are 146 U.S. cities and 28 foreign cities in other countries that have joined Occupy today. So if the people would like to find more information, check out occupyasheville.org for local happenings, and also occupytogether.org for international happenings. You know, we talk about the economy, and it's like, you know, do we really want to create growth? Do we want to create jobs? Because when you consider the medical cannabis industry, which has been proven that will create at least $250 million in revenues in the first year, we have to wonder why we're not doing that. And that is not even counting the industrial hemp. We in the United States have to buy our industrial hemp from Canada, even though in Asheville we have the only 2 hemp houses in the United States. You know, I question you. If you are the leaders, then who are you leading? Who are you speaking for? Are you speaking for all people, or is it only a select amount? We have people who have concerns, who stand up here and address you, and it doesn't matter because you're going to pass whatever you want to pass when you want to pass it. It seems that the people don't have a voice, which is one of the concerns that we, the people, have. We like our public access forum. We want our public access forum. We don't want to come in here and have to spend, you know, our whole night just to get 3 minutes. I mean, it would be great if, you know, we could have Jerry come and do a summary of what you guys are up to, even though we do have to be here in order for us to place our vote. In order for us to have a say, it might not count as anything, but at least. Now, when we're talking about, you know, the industrial hemp, we're also talking about clothing, fuel, energy, paper, concrete, you know, many other things. And then we have to go back to the alcohol prohibition. What did the alcohol prohibition, what's it worth? Who profited off of the alcohol prohibition? And then we have to look at the alcoholism, the disease and decay in society. You know, why, if alcoholism is a documented disease, why do we put people who are afflicted in jails and not in treatment programs? Are we putting people in jails, in privatized jails, and it's just for the profit in the criminal justice system? And it's like, you know, talking about the criminal justice system, did you know that you can get better drugs in jails? And I don't know how much I'm going to say about the employed law enforcement in this town that is affiliated with the drugs, the prostitution, and the murder. And it's how many of you know what is going on and continue to ignore that there is a problem. Okay? okay? There's a whole lot of stuff that we've got to get changed, and this is all part of prophecy. If you listen to the Native Americans will tell you that this is part of prophecy. Look under Hopi prophecy, and you will see where they're pointing to a split, that we as a society, as a collective society, have a chance in order to continue. Or, I mean, there again, you know, we can look at the Christian Bible and Revelation. Well, we're revealing a whole lot of stuff. We're revealing a whole lot of corruption. And the thing is, we ourselves have to start standing up and looking at ourselves, because a lot of that dis-ease comes from within. So I'm hoping that people actually want to step up and get clean. And I'm really glad that you guys got another award. You know, even though I still haven't heard, you know, about the, hey, you know, URTV was pretty darn good. Okay, Declaration of the Occupation of Asheville. And this is what we have so far. It is not a finalized copy. We have taken it pretty much in solidarity with New York. As we gather together in solidarity to express a feeling of mass injustice, we must not lose sight of what has brought us together. We write so that all people who feel wronged by the corporate forces of the world can know we know that we are your allies. Sorry about that. As one person united, we acknowledge the reality that the future of the human race requires the cooperation of its members, that our system must protect our rights. Upon corruption, that government, it is up to the individuals to protect their own rights and those of their neighbors, that a democratic government derives its just power from the people, but corporations do not seek consent to extract wealth from the people and the earth, and that no true democracy is attainable when the process is determined by economic power. We come to you at a time when corporations, which place profit over people, self-interest over justice, and oppression over equality, run our government. We have peaceably assembled here as it is our right to let these facts be known. They have taken our houses through an illegal foreclosure process despite not having the original mortgage. They have taken bailouts from taxpayers with impunity, and continue to give executives exorbitant bonuses. They have perpetuated inequality and discrimination in the workplace based on age, the color of one's skin, race, gender, identity, and sexual orientation. They have poisoned the food supply through negligence and undermined the farming system through monopolization. They have profited off the torture, confinement, and cruel treatment of countless animals and actively hide these practices. They have sought to strip employees of the right to negotiate for better pay and safer working conditions. They have held students hostage with tens of thousands of dollars of debt of education, which itself is a human right. They consistently outsource labor and use that outsourcing as leverage to cut workers' health care and pay. They have influenced the courts to achieve the same right as people with none of the culpability or responsibility. They have spent millions of dollars on legal terms that look for ways to get them out of contracts in regard to health insurance. They have sold our privacy as a commodity. They have used the military and police force to profit freedom from the press. They have deliberately declined to recall faulty products, endangering lives in pursuit of profit. They determine economic policy despite the catastrophic failures that their policy has produced and continue to produce. They have donated large sums of money to politicians who are responsible for regulating them. They continue to block alternative forms of energy to consider us dependent on oil. They continue to block generic forms of medicine that could save people's lives or profit relief.
If you wrap up, Ms. Lansing.
Thank you. They continue to block generic forms of medicine that could save people's lives or provide relief in order to protect investments that have already been turned into substantial profit. They have purposely covered up oil spills, accidents.
Okay, we need to wrap up. I didn't give you more time. You just need to wrap up, please.
We, Occupy Asheville, urge your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lansing. Okay. Who else wants to talk? Okay.
If I have 8 more people, do I have 10?
No, ma'am, you don't. Okay, let me explain the rules. Whoever raised their hand, the 8 people, you gave up your right to Ms. Landis. So anybody who didn't give up the right, I think I'll recognize Mr. Yelton next.
I get to follow 2 good acts tonight. You better smile on that one, David, real big. Because I told you all it didn't matter what was said, you would go ahead and vote with your staff. And I thank you, Ms. Jones, for bringing up your question about this in the open use category. And some facts that were overlooked, and David, please take note of this. Septic tank requirements will control the density in the rural area. Because you have to have one septic tank area plus a recharge area. And it has to be so many feet from your well. And you can't have more than 25 people on one well, or it becomes a public water system. So you have rules and regulations that will cover placement of rentals in the open use area. I think you overlooked that. Our existing restrictions will work. You heard tonight about the need for rental assistance. You heard tonight that I was wrong. It's 54% of the children in Buncombe County on have reduced or free lunches. And the hospital, 80% pay. AB Tech needs money, and more money in help. We heard the hospital ask for more money in help from the county. We also heard that the hospital gives $74 million in grants. And if they went to Raleigh, they would pick up another $100 million in money. Well, if they didn't issue the grants, they'd only be in the hole $26 million. Habitat for Humanity. You can shake your head, you can smile it off, you can let these things go behind you, but this is the real world in Buncombe County. And part of the reason for the frustration is because there's not a two-way conversation. It's all one-sided. Now, frankly, you've heard some facts tonight. I'm going to say something that probably make a lot of people mad at me, but I really don't care, do I, David? In 1900, the average lifespan of the average American was 42 years old. Who in here is past 42? Please hold your hand. David, I know you are. Hold your hand, everyone who's here. Because guess what? Today, the average lifespan is 77 plus. So with all of our problems and all of our disagreements, Wanda, we're doing much better today than we were in 1900. And that's why we've got to go back to open communication. We've got to go back to transparency in the finances and some good, honest debate, face to face, in front of everybody. And let's get the real facts, because the real facts will tell the story.
Thank you, Mr. Yell. Brother Christopher?
He held his hand up.
Okay.
I don't know who did and who didn't.
Okay. If you held your hand up, you waved your right to Ms. Landis. So.
No, I never raised. No. I didn't. I never raised my hand for Lisa. I'll show the video, dude.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. We'll hear from you. Go ahead. Now, if you have 8 people that want to waive their right, then you would have 10 minutes. But they can't be the same people, so they've got to have... Yes,
well,
ma'am.
I'll tell you what. I'll just admit this to you.
We broadcast every minute of our meetings, ma'am. Go ahead. All right, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, Brother
Okay. In my last talk, I was censored, which... Hey, you know what? I used to think my dad was a jerk, but I'm going to tell you what, the city council and the county commissions back then could take their licks. Y'all wimps! You are TV guys, I was going to say, was just an example of how playing with words. It is now a tax, by the way. Now, I was going to read this for Lisa, but I think you got the point. State of the nation. Little reminder, he who does not remember his past is condemned to repeat it. You know what? Y'all made a faux pas. Do you remember the county commissioners voted to get rid of your racetrack? Do they still exist? Bye-bye.
That was not county commissioners.
Yeah, the city council. Go ahead, go ahead, sir.
Now, it is part of the obligation of the county to step in when the city is violating civil rights. That is part of your job, to make sure the city fulfills their job. If I have a problem, if I have a problem with my supervisor, I go to his supervisor. You're their supervisors. Yeah, you are. Dude, I know how government works. I'll bet you can't tell me what the 3 primary rights is in the Constitution that gives you all your Bill of Rights, sir. Well, let me tell you, so I don't embarrass any of you, I asked the city council. Hopefully Gann can answer that. Can you?
Well, just give it a public comment.
Liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
That are your 3 primary rights established in the Constitution. The Bill of Rights is listing those 3 rights in more definition. But you know what country we have now? Heil against! Heil against! Heil against! We don't live in a democracy no more. We do not live in a country with free speech by the fact that I was going to use your TV just as an example. See, that's a sort of spot. Butts. Because you know what? You didn't have to kill your TV. You should have sponsored it. And no wonder they win awards. BC2? Come on, give me $1.5 million a year to spend, and I'll give your TV awards up to Voodoo. 1.5, and nobody can get an honest audit of your BC2. Why is it? Why won't they share where the money's going? Because I hear that more people are employed to BC2 than what's being shown. How, Mr. Gant? How, Mr. Gant? How, Mr. Gant?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion the man be dismissed.
Why? Do I not have the right to free speech, ma'am? Do I not, for 3 minutes, have a right
Go ahead.
to roast you if I want?
You have 3 minutes. Let's finish up.
To stand before my elected officials. As long as I don't cuss, as long as I don't drop my drawers, isn't that about right? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the county of Buncombe. Buncombe, you know what Buncombe stands for, Bunco? Because y'all are living up to that word. So it's up to you. I come to you, Mr. Gant, whatever your title is, because you don't have signs, and defend the protesters.
Thank you, Mr. Christie.
You don't?
All right, that's enough. Who's next?
You got these people right here, and you got Jerry Rice.
Okay.
That's all you got.
Aaron Spindler.
I can't believe you let them do that. My name's Aaron Penland, and I'm from South Asheville. Commissioner Gant, fellow commissioners, thank you for the time to be up here to talk with you. You know what I'm here about. I've been coming to this group for over 3.5 years now. We're just now actually starting to make headway with the EPA and hopefully with the county. As of last week, Matt Stone, your inspection and codes enforcer, sat and met with an attorney for MacTech, Mr. Billy Clark. One thing that I'd like to ask and find out is that we've gotten our group that was appointed by you, Citizens Monitoring Committee. If there's any way possible, whenever you get any information from the EPA or vice versa, NC Diener, if we could send it to the president of our group so that we can notify the people in the community. Also, I'd like to find out if any information has been received by the county as to what is going on with the building. Are they going to go ahead and renovate it, or are they going to tear the building down? I mean, you could spend $50,000 or $60,000 on that building, and it still would not be up to code. Another thing that I would like to ask also is we've tried this ourselves before in trying to obtain the past scoring results for the building. Supposedly they've tried to score it 4 separate times. We were actually told by one agent from the Environmental Protection Agency that she would fill out the paperwork for us. Well, within 2 weeks, she denied it and said that we could not get those papers. So I would like to come to you as a citizen of Buncombe County to our legal department and ask if someone could draft up a letter requesting all of the scorings for the last 4 times that it has been scored. We just want to make sure we've got all of our facts straightened in a row. There's been a lot of underhanded things done on this site, a lot of things behind doors where people are talking and no telling what's happened in there. But when it's all said and done, all that will come out. But right now, our major concern is for the people that live in that area. Right now, when you have the EP on site, you have the ERRB unit there. That's the Emergency Research and Recovery Group. Okay, that group is typically sent to where there's a plane crash or a bus flipped or a diesel spill. So they're treating this as an ongoing emergency, and they have been for over 20 years. I was hoping Ms. Harris was here. I saw her here a little while ago. But I was wondering if someone could ask that question and find out what's going on, why the EERB is here, and if we could please get those scores from the past 4 times that they have been tried. I guess that's it. Thank you for your time.
When we get that information to him, everything you've asked for, we'll do our best to get or provide for you, Ms. Finn. why don't we have you talk with her after the meeting so we can get there by public comment. Thank you, though. Any other public comment? Anybody that had not given up their right to talk?
Yeah, want to speak to they all held their hands up.
Okay, can we speak to the building? But just take Commissioner Bailey suggests we speak to the building. Do we know what the status is to answer that part of it right now?
No, sir. Their deadline would be close of business tomorrow to reply to the certified mail. They have 10 days from receipt of the certified mail, the decision of Matt Stone as permits director, and I don't know what they'll do.
So, but we can get this to the president of the advisory committee, and Mr. Penn, let's get it straight to Aaron too. I don't know who is the president of the group.
I believe all that was an email to your group from Matt Stone, was it not? Okay. So.
Last time we issued they say
okay.
you got to give them time to have a 10-day cutoff.
Similar rules would 10-day rules would apply. They kick in after receipt of any notification. And in this case here too, I know Matt Stone is aware of the of particular email addresses and will forward any decision or any appeal that is received.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Come up then, say your name and where you're from then, ma'am. Thank you. If you'll get near the microphone, it'll be better for us. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Anne-Marie Hornowski. I live here in Asheville. I'm a student at UNCA. I wanted to finish reading the Declaration of the Occupation of Asheville that Lisa did not get to finish reading. They determine economic policy. Despite the catastrophic failures their policies have produced and continue to produce, they have donated large sums of money to politicians who are responsible for regulating them. They continue to block alternative forms of energy to keep us dependent on oil. They continue to block generic forms of medicine that could save people's lives or provide relief in order to protect investments that they have already turned a substantial profit. They have purposefully covered up oil spills, accidents, faulty bookkeeping, and inactive ingredients in pursuit of profit. They purposefully keep people misinformed and fearful through their control of the media. They have accepted private contracts to murder prisoners even when presented with serious doubts about their guilt. They have perpetuated colonialism at home and abroad. Then they have participated in the torture and murder of innocent civilians overseas. They continue to create weapons of mass destruction in order to receive government contracts. To the people of the world, we, Occupy Asheville General Assembly, urge you to assert your power. Exercise your right to peaceably assemble, occupy public space, create a process to address the problems we face, and generate solutions that are accessible to everyone. To all the communities that take action and form groups in the spirit of direct democracy, we offer support, documentation, and all of the resources at our disposal. The website for this global movement is occupytogether.org, and our personal branch of it is occupyasheville.org. We have general assemblies every day now and pickets around downtown to raise awareness for this cause. We urge you to come by, support our cause, and see what the people have to say and have your own voices heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Winowski. Any other public comment tonight? Yes, sir. Mr. Penman.
My name is Eric Penland. I'm from the Arden area. And I was just really curious about, this whole thing with the CTS has been going on for so many years and has been drug out and drug out. And what I don't understand is when you had made the comment, Mr. Yant, that the building was going to be torn down, and then they turn around and they say, well, they're not going to tear it down. If they can stick some boards up over the windows to keep people out, they're going to leave the building. This stuff, we've come to you guys for so many times asking for help, and it's just, there's nothing being done. And the longer this keeps going, the more this is going to spread and the more people it's going to hurt. And, I don't know what all you guys can do, where your authority actually stops, but we just implore you guys, if you would, to put the pressure on the people. And tell them they've got to tear it down, because once they tear that building down, they can actually find out what's underneath it. And we know that's where the barrels are, and that's where the stuff is that's killing people. And we just ask you guys, please, just go wide open, because this is something that's killing people, and we need your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Penn. We're going to help you, and we have to follow the procedure the law gives us. And Mr. Frew, if you just comment on that.
Well, the county staff has done exactly what this commission has had and done its very best to ride herd on the responsible responding agencies, be it DNR and EPA, for several years now. I know that the Pillins spoke about EPA taking forever and that the group out there wants to have complete information. Well, the EPA works in very slow ways, and they don't typically produce material until they're certain of the results that they have obtained. And unfortunately, it just does take a long time, and we'll just have to wait and see what the Mills Gap Roads Association does in response to the order to have the building torn down.
It is
Now,
frustrating.
we got a problem on condemnation. I thought we were going to condemn the building and tear it down, but
We have
stopped us there.
We're in the middle of that process, and I know that there was a comment a couple weeks ago that we were tearing it down, and I think that was wishful thinking. We were negotiating with Mills Gap Road Associates, and they were considering giving a consent to go ahead and tear it down, but they reversed track, so we had to go with straight old-fashioned condemnation, and that's what we're in the midst of.
We're in the midst of the condemnation.
Yes, sir.
We get that condemnation, it's going down.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Leanne Smith, and I live really close to the CTS site in Arden. One of our concerns is that the condemnation notice is dated. What's posted on the site at CTS is dated August 31st. On August 14th, I was asked by an EPA official to come out. I'm sorry, September 14th. On September 14th, I was asked by an EPA official to come, Carter Williamson, to come out and join a variety of people on that afternoon at the CTS site. The demolition contractor was there, the asbestos abatement contractor was there, Mountain Environmental, an environmental consulting firm was there. There were representatives from county planning, county health, as well as contractor Taylor and Murphy, and several county representatives, OTI, who is the EPA contractor. They were all there. I watched them unlock the gate and go on site for what appeared to be the beginning of the demolition procedure. And it's hard for me to explain my joy and how happy I felt on that day. The asbestos abatement was, from what I understand, was going to take about 2 weeks. And then it was going to be about another 6 to 8 weeks for the building to come down. That was September 14th. On September 15th, Carter said, did you hear the news? Carter Williamson with the EPA, and I said, no, I didn't. And he said, we have to quit, we have to stop the work because there's been an appeal. So you can imagine my devastation at that. And we are concerned that our efforts at trying to do what needs to be done to get this cleaned up and do the right thing move so slowly, yet efforts to stop it, to cease and desist, excuse me, move so quickly and efficiently. And this is really difficult. I have 2 children who have had health concerns, and people in my community have many health concerns. And it's just a very frustrating situation, and we know you all are concerned about it, and we appreciate your willingness to work with us on it. But it's very confusing to us in the community when we see something like that happen, and then, just immediately 1 day later, this is stopped. So, but thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. It is frustrating, and sometimes the appeal rights, when you take someone's property away from them, even if they're bad people, even if they're people that do things that are not appropriate, we still have to respect they own property and that we have to follow the law. If we don't, then that could probably delay the whole thing even more. So I think, even as frustrating it is, it's better to go by the letter of the rule and follow our attorney and the legal process and do it right so that we don't have to redo it and start over.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, if I could, I do understand how frustrating it is. Until just a few weeks or months ago, EPA did not want the building structure to come down, and then they told us the structure could come down, the slab has to stay in place. We did send in consultants to do an assessment of the asbestos. We have hired a contractor. We are ready to go and bring the building down, but Mills Gap did change their mind and filed an appeal, and you heard me say in the room that CTS carries a promissory note for Mills Gap, and that does play a role in the delay in the appeal process. So as soon as the time runs, we're ready to roll.
Let me have Mr. Frew answer you after.
I was just going to say, just very quickly, that nothing we're doing, nothing in this condemnation process is slowing down EPA or DNO. I mean, that's just the process that it's going to take, how long it's going to take.
Okay. If I could just have a dialogue after Mr. Penland, that might be better. You can ask, if you'll stay to speak to Mr. Penland, that'd be good. Any other public comment tonight? Mr. Rice?
Chairman, members of the board. Two housekeeping things and one money matter. First one, at the last meeting, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Landis was very embarrassed and lambasted by the chairman while you were gone. Vice Chair. I don't want to hear this. You're going to get personal. Get him out of here.
Okay, let's why don't you just talk about the policy?
Well, I'm talking about the vice chair, so if that's personal, he ought to resign from office.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, the point is that we need to have order behind the desk as well as here at the podium. And I'd like to look into that and make sure it don't happen again.
Yep.
The other thing is under the public minutes. The public minutes have been taken out of the minutes, and the people that's speaking in public, their minutes or their voice is not being counted. They're only documenting that they are here. Now, the lawyer will say they don't have to do that. I don't care what he had to say, but the point is they've been documented for years. So why now, and who voted? Did this commission vote in public? No. Somebody decided to take this out. I'd like to know the answer to that. I asked it at the last meeting, and I'd like to know the answer. Who voted to take that out of the minutes? Because public minutes ought to reflect what it's designed to do. The other thing, on the firearms of retiring deputies, I think is 9 or 10. $2,500, $1,500, or $1,000 goes a long way when it comes to people's life in our community and social service and how many lives that money can touch. If the firearms, which I just asked about, sold for $450 as market would on a used firearm, that'd be $4,500 for 10 deputies that get these at retirement. I would like to ask y'all to ask the sheriff to consider selling these weapons rather than giving